Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. So, the topic of today's subject is going to be a bit somber. It is regarding what happens when you die and you have real estate or you have valuables. And I am going to be talking primarily about a will. Okay? So, a will is a document that you write up that tells people where you want things to go, who you want them to go to, and how they're going to be handled. Without a will, the state will decide all of that for you. So, how do you get a will? You can get a will through an attorney. You can get a kit. You can write one up yourself. You can use a service. It's all up to you. And I will say right now, I am not an attorney and I'm not an accountant. So please reference and talk to those people for specifics for your situation. I will only be speaking about a will from my perspective as a realtor and the things that I've gone through. So one of the things that a will does, and I'll go over several things here, is if you will decide how your estate will be distributed. What is an estate? Anything you have of value. It could be your home, bank accounts, investments, retirements, life insurance, vehicles, jewelry, anything that's valuable. Okay. Antiques, family heirlooms. Okay. Make sure that if you do get a will, that you store it in a place that people know about. Let's say you have a will where you have a child or a sister in charge of the will. Make sure that they know where the will is. Okay. Make sure it's not in the safety deposit box where they can't access it because there's nothing that has their name on it. Okay. The will decide how everything will be distributed. You will not have to rely on the court and that long drawn out process to do it. It'll also lower the amount of fighting that can happen within a family. From my experience, all the people start coming out of the woodwork and everybody suddenly decides how important they are in your life after you pass away. And then that's where the fighting over the money starts. Okay. If you have children that are under the age of 18, the will also decide, or you will direct how you want or who you want those children to be raised by. Now, if in order to avoid a very long and drawn out probate process, the will expedite that. You still have to go through the probate process when you have a will, but when you have a will, it's much quicker and faster and easy. The clearer it's written, the less vague, the more solid and more specific the will is, the better your chances of not having anybody contest it. Okay. It also will minimize the estate taxes. The government will take its share, but will automatically distribute those gifts to certain people, and depending on what the tax laws are, it will reduce the amount of money that's taken off of the estate as a whole. Don't quote me on specifics because I am not a tax person, so please speak to an accountant about that. You can also decide who will be handling your affairs. So let's say you want certain people to receive certain things, but one person has to be the person in charge of, filing all the documents that are necessary regarding, the death and the probate, and then they will be in charge of making sure all those things happen. You want to make sure that it's somebody you trust, somebody that you know is competent, and that will have your best intentions at heart. I know that sometimes we have family members that are not always the most responsible, and it would be a shame for somebody like that to be in charge of all the finances and all the paperwork, because it is very, very tedious and it can be quite a bit of work. Then you can also leave folks out that you don't want. Let's say you got into a really ugly argument, you cut somebody out of your life that you don't want in your life anymore. And let's say you're in the middle of a divorce and you don't have an estate, a probate, or a will. And now your soon to be or would have been ex-husband is in charge of your estate. So make sure that you update the estate every few years, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever you feel is necessary. Whenever there's a life change, somebody is born, somebody dies, somebody gets married, somebody passes away, you want to make sure you update that will to reflect those life situations, because it can happen. If you want to make gifts or donations to any kind of organizations that are special to you, you can make sure that that gets done. You also don't want to fight over any legal challenges. I've had situations where We have husband and wife. They were both on their second marriage. Husband died a long time ago. He had a will, but he never did anything with it. He never processed it, never took it through the probate process. And so then when the lady's daughter passed away and she thought she had inherited the house, it turns out that the stepbrother that she hadn't seen in 30 years was entitled to 25% of everything, okay, that the sale of the house was worth. And there was nothing we could do about it in that situation. That was only a couple of years ago. So you want to make sure that you get covered across the board. You have to remember that tomorrow's not promised, and people get emotional, people get stressed out, and there's usually a lot of issues regarding the estate unless you have a very good open line of communication within the family. But we know that doesn't always happen, right? So it makes it faster for your loved ones to get their proceeds. Let's say you want certain people to receive so much money from like the life insurance policy that you left behind. Having a will will certainly make sure that happens quickly. Do you need a lawyer? That is completely your call. You can hire a lawyer, an attorney. You could do a will that you can download online. You can handwrite it yourself. There's kits, and there's also services that can provide that for you. Make sure that you leave it in a place that people will know that you're leaving in charge of these things, know where to find it. And the longer you postpone a will, the more you're opening yourself up to who knows what can happen tomorrow, right? The more you're leaving it up to, your loved ones who are already mourning your death, who are already hurting and suffering and going through the motions, and now they have to add this extra element to it, right? So make sure that that even if you don't have relatives, that you have a will. Because if you have friends or a favorite charity or anybody like that you wanted your money to go to, without a will, the state will probably wind up keeping that money. And so, I think part of what we do is we build a legacy that we leave for other people. And a legacy isn't complete unless it has a completion plan. And that's what a will is. I've had so many issues where we've had estranged children and they won't sign off, or somebody wants a certain amount and it's not reasonable. And so everything gets held up and tied up. And sometimes things don't happen. Sales of homes don't happen. People don't get their money. There's no resolve or resolution. And I've seen issues where money stays in a trust in a different state, and nobody comes and claims it because they were so mad at the person that passed away over whatever issues. So if you have any questions, feel free to call or text me or email me. My phone number is 915-588-3802, and my email is gkelpaso@gmail.com. Thank you, and stay safe. A little reminder that my business is based on referrals. Without wonderful people such as yourself, I could not keep my business running. So if you happen to know of anybody, friend, family, coworker, neighbor that is interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate, I would love to give them the best level of personal care. Thanks so much. Feel free to reach out, text, email, or call me. Thanks. Bye-bye.